Baltimore and WNST.net. We got a big weekend around here with the Orioles and the Yankees, as well as the Stanley Cup Finals. And for those of you who know how I feel about the Pittsburgh Penguins, that is not going in the right direction at this point. And if there's one town that around here we have troubles with, it's usually Cleveland. And I know many of you may be rooting for a Cleveland parade. If they could have a parade and LeBron weren't involved, I would approve of this. But everyone will be watching the baby-faced assassin and the Golden State Warriors and the Cavaliers all week long. I got a guy here who is as expert on all things Cavaliers and LeBron, as well as a guy that you know very well here in Baltimore. At the end of the conversation, I'll say, see you later. But for now, I welcome in my longtime friend from the land of Cleve, although he's not a native Clevelander, so don't hold that against him. He is the one, the only Michael Regai. You can follow his journey at Michael Regai on Twitter. Also doing some Brown stuff out there at ESPN Cleveland and pre and post for the Cavaliers at Fox Sports Ohio. Always so good to have you on, my friend. How is life in Cleveland? There's whispers there might be a parade there, Regai.
A lot of work to be done first, Nestor. Always good to chat with you, my man. And, it's a fun time here. And, I'm urging all of Cleveland to enjoy this. Let it envelop you. I mean, embrace it because
it could go the wrong way. You know that, Michael.
Of course it can, and yeah. But you can speak to my message to everyone here is, you don't realize how difficult it is to win championships in professional sports. The common thread here without LeBron's coming back, so that's going to mean that there's going to be
5 titles
here in the next 5. It's not that easy.
Well, you found that out last year, right?
That way. That's exactly right. And, any of us that have been around professional sports, and, of course, I've had I'm humbled and to have had the great pleasure to not call the Orioles for 8 years, call the Cleveland Cavaliers for 13 years. When you're around it every day, Nestor, you truly understand this isn't easy, man. It's difficult to win titles in any professional sport. I hope the Cleveland fans can appreciate that and embrace this.
For you, all these years of doing this, you've worked for teams. You've obviously had home team sports back in the day. How many years for you? Don't date yourself because I know you got to be 30 now, but how many years have you done this?
This is my 39th year. It's the only job I've ever had right out of college, and been blessed, fortunate, Nestor. I wouldn't trade any of it for a moment. So, it's been broadcasting for me, and I'm an extremely lucky guy to have done so. But yeah, man, 39 years now. So
all right, so 39 years you've been doing this, and in many cases you've been involved in 2, 3, 4 sports a year, right? Because you're a multi-sport guy. I've lived in Baltimore. My association here now, 47 years I've been here. Since I've done this, I've seen the Orioles lose World Series. I've seen them win 1 in 83. We've had 2 parades here because Art brought the football team here. We almost lost it. I wasn't really around for Super Bowl 5. I was on the planet, but I didn't enjoy it. I've seen the Terps win 1 championship. I've been waiting for the Caps. We have lacrosse around here, so if you adopt those championships as a Baltimorean, every year somebody, the Kelly family won a championship this week in North Carolina. It's sort of local, but not. But it's, 47 years. I'm a 4-season guy, so I guess I've had 170 chances or whatever for my teams to win. I mean, I was a Bullets fan in 77, 78, but, I've had 3 or 4 titles out of 170 seasons, not counting my Little League, Mike. How many for you, literally? How many for you, being around Cleveland all this time?
Well, in my professional life in Cleveland, none. Now, I was born and raised in Detroit, right, in the city.
So every Red Wings title you claim, sort of, kind of, and the Pistons and the Tigers, right?
There's always going to be a spot in my heart. Sure, as a kid in 1968 when Tigers won the World Series, and then, of course, in 84 for them, the Pistons went to 3 in a row and won 2 of them. The Lions, no, that's another story, of course.
Put them right in with the Browns.
little boy, well, late, and I don't remember it because I was 2-3 years old in the late 50s, when they won championships. But and then, of course, as you mentioned, the Red Wings with 4. So I mean, yeah, that's where I'm born and raised. First 18 years of my life, that's my hometown, and there, as you said about Baltimore and the surrounding area, there's always something special to that. But I came here to work, Nestor. My first job was here as a sports anchor at the ABC affiliate in 1983. So, nope, I don't know anything about championships in the city of Cleveland. They've been to now. This is the third for the Cavaliers. The Indians had some real good looks. Should have won the World Series probably in '97, but got beat. Jose Mesa coughed it up in the ninth inning. And, this town is still waiting. 1964, when Jimmy Brown and the Cleveland Browns have shut out Don Shula's Baltimore Colts in a championship game. This is in the old NFL before the merger and before the Super Bowl era.
So you have professionally for 39 years done nothing but cover sports and been around sports teams, and you
Correct.
have never had champagne dumped on you and held a microphone in front of an athlete.
No.
That's kind of incredible when you talk about how rare it is.
97, if you remember, we were when the O's clinched the AL East in Toronto that night. Champagne that night in the clubhouse, but championship win it all? No.
Well, that speaks volumes to what you're saying. I mean, you began this conversation by saying this is how hard it is. It's so freaking hard.
Right.
You've never experienced it.
Nope, not easy. And again, let's see, I've called, great pleasure. I'm humbled. I'm honored. I could go on and on about that, Nestor, but, called over 1,300 O's games, in my time there. Same amount in my time with the Cleveland Cavaliers here. So just games I've called, I'm into over 2,500 in the two professional sports in the NBA and Major League Baseball. I've also called the Cleveland Browns, too. So, I mean, no championships. And, again, that's why I have a great understanding from the day-to-day side how extremely difficult it is. And you cannot take for granted that, it's okay, we don't win it this year. We're going to have a couple more opportunities the next. Don't ever adopt that philosophy because you may never get another look. Getting looks aren't easy, and when you get them, you should be intent on winning them.
Well, for you running around with Mark Price down in Richfield, before, all of this LeBron mania, and I don't know, at what point did you meet LeBron James? I mean, you're there. He's dribbling a ball in Akron. I mean, it was pretty obvious he was special to some degree, and everybody, there's always the next Jordan and the next LeBron and all that. But, I mean, you've known this man since he was a poor kid in Akron, right?
Yes, exactly. First met him as a freshman at Akron St. Vincent St. Mary when, the word and, the buzz, how it happens, Nestor, that there's this child prodigy that has got a tremendous... They were already talking about LeBron in the ninth grade, and certainly it played out that way, that, hey, listen, this kid's got a shot. He's so talented. It goes straight to the NBA. I'm always skeptical of that, Nestor. I mean, again... wish all the young men and women their very best, great opportunities to go to college, and for some of them get opportunities to play professional sports. But I'm always a little bit skeptical when they start telling me about, hey, guys could go straight to the NBA, and, baseball players are going to get drafted, and within a year or two they'll be in the big show. That to me is, kind of, I got to see that first, but this kid's life journey through sports has played out in an incredible way. And, he has, Nestor, this is 6 straight finals that he's gone to. And the only others that can lay claim to that. Now, Jordan's were interrupted, as you know, because of all the things that he was trying to go play baseball and other things. But the only others that can lay claim to that, really in any sport, are the great Bill Russell Boston Celtics teams and his teammates from back in the decade of the 60s. So 6 straight finals. Then others will say, though, Nestor, that, again, right now he's gone to 6. This will be his 7th overall. He's 2-4 in finals. So... Well,
you say he's 2-4. I mean, last year, it was just him playing 5 guys from Golden State, right?
Yeah, pretty much was. They were without Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love. So, yes, and he doesn't look at it that way. But you know how we are now as a sporting society. It's all about the elite guy and the megastars. How many championships do they win? You know, it's the old Dan Marino conversation, Nestor. You know, I don't know if you and I have ever got into it. I happen to think he's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. A lot of people will say, hey, he went to one his rookie year, never got back there again in the next 15 years. So he's not on that Mount Rushmore with Montana and Brady and Unitas and stuff. So you know how that goes. Again, if you're the guy, if you're the megastar, if you are the elite guy, well, then they judge you by you win championships.
Hey, man, I'm dealing with that with Ovechkin here, right? I mean, look at the year the Caps had. We thought they'd be playing right now. They're not, and they might never, and he might never. And if he doesn't ever, he's not going to be mentioned with Gretzky. It's just not the way it works, right? And
yeah, well, see that, and I tend to agree with what you just said. I've softened my stance on that a little bit again, and I use the Marino case. You're using Ovechkin, and you're right. But it's just the way it is. And with that, with your stardom comes the burden, if you will, of having your legacy tarnished.
Well, to LeBron, is it like he's never won because he hasn't won in Cleveland? I mean, there's part of that Miami thing where it felt very rented. I don't root for him. I thought the biggest dick move I've ever seen in the history of sports was that press conference. I still, when I see it, I'm like, what the hell were you thinking? And now he's come back and, SL Price and tried to make things right, and here we are again, and they're on the cusp of it again. I do root against him. I see him as a flawed individual and all that. But all that being said, look, everyone here who's ever heard me broadcast knows I poke fun. I don't ever want to see Pittsburgh win, so I want to be clear about that. But when it comes to Cleveland, I kind of want you guys to have a parade. I don't have any soft spot for the Golden State Warriors, but I don't like LeBron. I like Cleveland more than I like LeBron, honestly.
Well, sure. I mean, and I think you're echoing probably the majority of sports fans, in the country, and who knows, maybe the world over, too. Now, here, there are still people that harbor resentment, Nestor, but of course, they've softened, and I think most of that is because, and you know how LeBron, I thought, while I agree with you on his exit, when he came back, it was very well crafted and sculpted in how he was going to do it with, in Cleveland and Northeast Ohio, nothing is given to you and everything is earned, and he said it's not going to be easy. So he played it the right way, but, of course, I think Clevelanders, Nestor, at this time, this is because of Believe Land that came out and the constant reminder that it's been 52 years. People just want to win a damn championship and have that parade, although I think you'll understand this, and it's a minority, but there's been an undercurrent this week. Is if the Cavaliers win, it's going to be great, but it would be so much better if the Browns ever won. That would be the creme de la creme for the city. So you got a little undercurrent of that going on, and of course that plays into that this has been, always will be a football town through and through.
Well, I mean, I've experienced that here with the two parades with the Ravens. I told the story a couple weeks ago at our Night of Heroes that when Joe Flacco walked up to me outside the stadium after he won the Super Bowl, the first thing he said to me was, the parade bigger than the last one. And it really was. I mean, it was probably 3 times bigger the second time. And I know if the Orioles ever win, if they can win the World Series this year, they can win it any year, it will never match what the Ravens did. And I think that's just the power of the NFL. And for you, being a Cavaliers guy, and, as much as I think of you as anything, I think of you as an NBA guy. I think that's your root. It's where you are. You go back to those awful Cavalier teams and sometimes down at Richfield where they weren't good enough. And Michael Jordan was too good for them, that this isn't easy through 3 or 4 different jersey changes, arena changes, LeBron in, LeBron out, now he's back. But I'll say this, other than the 97 team, and I will say the Tony Fernandez home run, as you remember it pretty well, off of Benitez, that was their best chance. This might be at least perceived. No one really thought they were going to win last year. I even think the first time LeBron got him there a number of years ago, they felt overmatched in that final as well. He had a better team in Miami. But for some reason, Golden State feels more vulnerable, even though they're coming off a 3-game winning streak where everybody bet against them last week.
Yeah, well, no, I think that's accurate the way you laid that out. This is a real good look now. I mean, again, that's the way I refer to them as, and they have got. I think it's going to be a fantastic, just phenomenal series for basketball fans because you got every element that you need. LeBron, he won't say. Just yesterday, he of course regaled Steph Curry and what a fabulous player he is, and maybe the best shooter the NBA's ever seen. But from knowing him since he's been 14, there's a lot of the NBA world now that believes that Steph Curry is the best player on the basketball planet. And down deep, Nestor, believe me when I tell you that chaps LeBron a little bit. Again, he's got to be measured. He's got to, and he said the right things yesterday. But
if there's a parade, he becomes the best player on the planet again, right? I mean,
yeah,
what Golden State did the first 6 months of the year is insane, man. It's insane.
Well, and unbelievable. You'll never see it again, and that's why too. And I know fans are going to be what they are, but that's why again, you don't say, come on. If you could have got all my money, Nestor, in this day and age, if you would have told me before the season began, hey, Reggie, Golden State, pick anybody, going to go 73-9. I was no, and would have given you odds. Just can't happen. And they did it. And they did it with a style that has been, a little bit contrary, a little bit different to what we've known the NBA to be in the last, we'll say the last 10 to 15 years. They do it with small ball. They do it with tremendous ball movement and 4 guys that can shoot the basketball extremely well, not just Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, but they have others as well. So, yeah, they've become the darlings. But again, Nestor, I mean, come on now, 73-9. I don't care how you try to dissect that. That, to me, was, like I said, I would have told you that's undoable. Not going to happen in this day and age of the NBA, but here they did. And then, lo and behold, though, if they don't win a championship, couldn't you say the same thing about them? I mean, they were teetering on the brink last week, down 3-1, looking awful in games 3 and 4 to OKC of being eliminated. Then how many people would have remembered the 73 wins had they not even gotten to the finals in a few years? So they dug themselves out of a deep, deep coffin, and here they are. And again, I much respect and admiration for them. I think what they've done is fabulous, and it's going to be a hell of a series.
All right, so break the series down from a tactical standpoint here, Michael Reggie. What will have to happen for Cleveland to win? Obviously, they're just playing a more physical brand. I don't know how that's going to translate. I do know this. The last time they got together, the Warriors got the Cavs coach fired, right?
Well, yeah, it's interesting that, that turned into a 35-point win here. They were up by 43, and then a few days later, David Blatt got fired, and Tyronn Lue takes over. So, the general managers didn't think the Cavaliers were having enough fun and embracing where they are and a chance to play for a championship. So they fired the head coach. Ty Lue has done a real nice job. I tend to believe that they'd be right here in this position regardless. Maybe you and I could be co-coaches, and they'd be right here in the finals playing Golden State. All of that having been said, though, I think, Nestor, a couple of things. The Cavaliers are a better rebounding team than Golden State. I think they're going to have to control the glass, regardless of how Steve Kerr wants to play, whether he's going to play Bogut a lot or not. I happen to think he won't. He'll try to use the same small ball, as it's been termed, philosophy that beat the Cavaliers a year ago. And for the Cavaliers, again, Draymond Green and Golden State have a tendency at times, and again, I keep referencing games 3 and 4 against Oklahoma City. They turned it over close to 20 times, real sloppy with the basketball. Even Steve Kerr was surprised at how little regard they seem to have valuing the ball. So if the Cavaliers can try to get Golden State into that, they like to play at that frenetic pace, have forced turnovers, get out and get easy hoops and control the glass, I think they got a shot to win the series. You're not going to completely deny Curry and Thompson. They're too good of offensive players. Their shooting capabilities are extraordinary. but you got to find ways at times to curtail them and not let them get into that run where they each knock down 4 or 5 threes and in a 4-minute burst, and they go on a 20-2 run. Cavaliers can't afford that, and certainly Golden State's capable of it. So, those are a couple keys for me. Keep controlling the glass and see what you can do to get Golden State to get floppy on the offensive end. And so a lot of that's going to play into how the Cavaliers approach this defensively. They did a good job a year ago in the finals, even without Irving and Love, but those are not two good defensive players anyway. Those are strictly two offensive-minded players. So we'll see if the Cavaliers can do that and make this the long series. I think they can.
He is Michael Regai. You can follow him out on Twitter at Michael Regai. He's at ESPN Cleveland and Fox Sports Ohio and covering all things Cavaliers and Browns and Tribe and all that good stuff. Hey, I want to ask you this. I've never asked you this. Hey, give me a little Steve Kerr story. I mean, you were around when he was a Cavalier, and I'm thinking he probably wasn't real popular when he was a Bull, right, around those parts. But there's a guy there with a Cleveland background and a Lute Olson background. I remember him dribbling out in Tucson in the 80s. And now, 30 years removed, I'm sure he's a guy you know pretty well, right?
Yeah, I do. Terrific guy. Was that Cavalier group back then, and of course, there's two teams. They couldn't beat the Detroit Pistons, and they'd win 56, 57, 58 games a year. Magic Johnson dubbed them the team of the 90s, but they could not beat those two teams I mentioned in the East and never got to an NBA Finals. But yeah. Mark Price, one of the consummate best pick-and-roll point guards ever. Brad Doherty from North Carolina. Larry Nance. Now the late John Hot Rod Williams. Steve Kerr. Craig Elo. They had a terrific team, younger veteran team, but a team that, again, real good, but didn't have that mega star, that one elite guy. A bunch of terrific players, couple of all-stars, but couldn't beat Detroit and couldn't beat Chicago. Kerr was a backup. He backed up both spots, could shoot the hell out of it. As you mentioned, Lute Olson, Arizona, excellent shooter, perfect for what we saw with a Michael Jordan team, a guy that could take and make open shots. So, yeah, always, kind of a deep thinker, and even as I think about it back then, Nestor, a guy that, you don't think about those things when a guy is 25 years old and playing, but now that I look back, I can see where always very analytical, kind of a guy that was always be around the coaches at practice. So, no surprise that here, 30 years later, he's now looked upon as, one of the top head coaches in the NBA.
Dude, when I watch Golden State, it reminds me of the Harlem Globetrotters. The way they, it's a trick shot thing. I mean, it almost feels like, a gimmick, quite frankly, that they like seeing a trick shot golf artist or something like that. That's the way I think of them, but then they had to get in and mix it up with Oklahoma City. And it's interesting you would say you saw some weaknesses in them. Well, I mean, hell, it took 80, 85, 90 games to find any weakness in them at all. And I guess we're going to find out over the next 10 days whether the Cavs can exploit that. Hey, dude, I love having you on. Miss you around here. The Orioles were out there with the Tribe. Tribe's not bad this year, right?
Yeah, well, listen, I 2 to 3 times a week I watch the O's. I watched them last night as they had the bats sizzling last evening. So I think speaking of looks, I think Bucks boys again. You got a real good look. Win the East and go ahead and make October special. I mean, you got a great opportunity. I think that it's a very well-rounded squad and. If you feel good about your pitching, and I know you do, then you got a shot to be there in October. So Indians, yeah, they need Michael Brantley back badly. Marlon Byrd yesterday with his career's done now. Got hit with a 162 game for repeated use of PEDs. They need Carlos Carrasco back in the rotation, but they're hanging in. I think it's going to be a byproduct of the division. As much as anything, Nestor, I don't think Kansas City is going to run away and hide this year with the American League Central. So, we'll see. We'll kind of find out if what Terry Francona is all about as a skipper. I think he's going to have to show why people regard him as one of the best in the game as we get into August and September because, the Indians are probably going to be there in that kind of bunched up AL Central. it might only take 87, 88 wins in the AL Central this year to win it. So we'll see if they're among the ones that are sitting there when September comes around.
Man, I love watching that shortstop kicking around last week. That's you got a special kid out there. We got Machado here too. Yeah, absolutely.
He's sweet.
Hey, great having you on, Red Guy. Get some rest, all right? It's going to be a long couple of weeks. Whatever you do, and I'm going to say this to you because I won't talk to you before it's over with probably, enjoy the parade if you have one, okay? Cry a little, laugh a little, take the family out. Try to have some fun with it out there amidst all the work.
Well, it's all about the family. I do. I want it desperately for the city of Cleveland and Northeast Ohio and Cleveland sports fans because they're the ones that I think that need to exhale and enjoy this the most, mister.
I've never met a happy Cleveland sports fan. I'm hoping to change that. See you later, Michael.
See you later, Nestor.
See you later. There he goes, at Michael Red Guy on Twitter. That was fun. You can find me out in the Bayou Toyota Audio Vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world. We're there. You download us, TuneIn Radio app, however you want to get us. We've been streaming a lot. We were streaming our Michael Red Guy piece out on YouTube as well as on Facebook Live. I've been working on that a little bit as well. You can always throw me an email, nasty@WNST.net. Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, wherever you are, we are. WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.